Chinese Premier Wen Jiabao is stopping off in Russia's second city on his way home from the G20 summit in Cannes. What can we expect from the talks? We've got Masha Lipman. She's political analyst at the Moscow Carnegie Center, and she joins us now. Masha, let's talk about Russia's potential support for Europe. What might we get in terms of a pledge from Russia, and how is this going to change the power balance between the Russians and the Europeans?
Well, to begin with, of course, Russia should be satisfied seeing IMF, Christine Lagarde, coming to Russia not as debtor but as creditor, and as a hope for to rescue Europe. Of course, psychologically is not all there is to it. Russia and China expect to increase their weight and their clout at the IMF now that they are seen as serious contributors to the rescue of Europe. We should expect bargaining on the part of Russia. Earlier, the economic advisor to the Russian president, Arkady Dvorkovich, said Russia would probably commit $10 billion to rescue Europe. However, now he's talking about this may be decided in a matter of a few weeks. Apparently, there are terms, there are strings attached, or at least Russia hopes to have strings attached to it.
Now, any contribution, would this be most likely in partnership and cooperation with the other BRICS nations through the IMF, or would it be more unilaterally? What's your sense the way things are going here?
Well, I'm sure there will be cooperation. However, there should also be bilateral. This is why Christine Lagarde is in Russia today. BRICS countries, all of them, are saying yes, they will commit funds to help Europe. However, they want higher quotas, they want bigger representation in the IMF. This is something that has been talked about for a while, that developing countries, strong, powerful developing countries, should have a bigger say. And of course, the IMF is cautious, and this is why there is, we should be talking about bargaining. I think jointly, BRICS as powerful developing countries, and each country with IMF bilaterally.
Masha, can Russia afford to be helping the Europeans? I mean, Russians don't have the same quality of life, standard of living as Europeans do.
Well, we are talking about a country where decision-making is the monopoly of the government, where people do not have much say. The government does not regard people as a force when they are deciding such an issue. By this, I mean, not least, the leadership of Russia is not facing political opposition, and it can take decisions that it sees fit. Russia is in more or less okay shape today because the oil prices are high. However, Russia's economy is heavily dependent on the prices of energy. And by the way, Christine Lagarde, prior to her visit to Moscow, to Russia, was talking about remains to be seen how Russia is going to use the still high oil prices. She said that Russia's growth today is around 4%, but the forecast is rather to lowering, not increasing.
Let me just ask you, if I can now, about the visit between the Chinese and the Russian leadership. Do you think we're going to get a deal signed this week on the gas deal that they've been talking about and haggling over for many years now?
Yes, indeed. It has been an issue for many years, and of course, Russia wants to sell more expensively, and the Chinese want to buy more cheaply. China is a good bargainer. At the previous meeting between the Chinese and Russians, they failed to come to terms. Seems like the Chinese are really tenacious here and will try to squeeze a lower price out of Russia. Maybe not this time, maybe not these days, but eventually it seems like China will probably make Russia to compromise on the price.
Okay, Masha Lipman from the Moscow Carnegie Center. I'm grateful to you. Thanks for joining us here on Countdown this morning.
My pleasure.